All right, so now that we've gone over what a cutscene is, we're going to talk a bit about how to construct them so that all you devs out there get a chance to make a good cutscene. And it's another Gamasutra article because Gamasutra gets their stuff.
They do their research.
They do. And we're going to go over the steps of how to create a good cutscene for your game. Shall we begin?
Yeah. So, step 1.
Know your purpose. What is the purpose of the cutscene?
Yep.
Honestly, I feel like this could be applied to just about everything in game design. If you don't know what the purpose of a scene is, the purpose of a character, the purpose of a story beat, the purpose of a level, as I say, looking up at something that's not actually there. If you don't know what the purpose of something is, what do you do?
Yeah, why is it there?
Cut it. Cut it. Kill it. Get rid of it. It doesn't exist.
So, cutscenes have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. What's your purpose?
And we've talked about what possible purposes could be.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it does have a purpose, then it's a good vehicle to consider.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of go over a few of them. So is the purpose of your cutscene to provide setting? Is it an information dump? Is it an exchange between two characters? Is it a reward?
A reward. Yeah.
So scribble down in your GDD. You do have a GDD, right?
You better.
Right. If you don't, get one. Just write down your GDD what the purpose of the cutscene is. And define it. You'll be able to go much smoother.
Yeah. It keeps you on track. Defining it.
Yes. Step 2. Pre-visualize it. I know you probably can't read the text. It's really, really small. Thank you, Gamasutra. But pre-visualize it.
Yeah.
Pre-visualization means... think about it in your head. Close your eyes. Imagine it. We do a lot of that with our shit. We really do. Both Teal and I run tabletop RPGs, and we do a lot of between sessions, closing our eyes and visualizing what various aspects are going to be like. When we make a game, we think of the same thing. We close our eyes and go, here's this really cool scene where these characters are going to interact, or they're going to meet the big bad, or whatever. So you want to pre-visualize in your head what it's going to look like. You know, spend a little while. Imagine it as if you have a $1 billion budget. Okay, maybe it was a little too much. $1 million budget.
Yeah, $1 million budget.
You have $1 million to make that one cutscene. You can do whatever you want. You can even have Michael Bay level explosions. So, pre-visualization.
Yeah. And the next thing is to get it down.
Right.
You know, we call it write it down.
Write it down.
So, you know, storyboard it.
Yeah. Make an animaic. If you know how to draw, make an animaic. So, do that. You know, kind of break it down to panels. You know, storyboarding like what Teal said. Get it laid out.
Yeah,
lay it out. Once you get the draft laid out, then you want to optimize it. Optimize that sucker. Because I guarantee you, whatever you wrote is going to be way too long. Whatever you visualized in your head while you were driving down the 290 to pick your wife up from work, and God, that son of a bitch is taking way too long to switch from one lane to the next, and it's raining, and freaking hell, Safety Dance is playing for the 4th time, and I'm...
You're describing your experience earlier this week.
Yes, ma'am. Optimize it.
Optimizing is you're keeping the user experience in mind, because again, if your cutscenes are too long or meander from the point or seem boring, you're going to lose your player. So you optimize them.
Remember,
what are some techniques for optimizing?
Okay. Well, actually, go back up here. I'm trying to read.
It's kind of hard.
It really honestly is. There we go. Consider the game being okay. So on a hardware level, not on a writing level, On a hardware level, consider using in-game and not pre-rendered. That's the first thing. So everyone out there, if you're using an engine, consider having your cutscene be in using the game engine itself. Now, for writing optimization, for optimizing the cutscene, go through and anything that doesn't move the conversation forward in any way, shape, or form, anything that's extraneous or fluffy, get rid of it. And if you have to provide that information in order to give character development, mush it in with something else. So instead of having character 1 come in to see where character 2 is, and character 2 is brushing their hair, and their hair is unreasonably longer because of reasons, instead of having character 1 go, wow, your hair is longer than it was yesterday, and character 2 says, oh, not that bad, and character 1 says, no, it looks like it's a whole 3 inches longer. Oh, by the way, the king wants to talk to us. You could then have, instead, you could squanch that down and have character 1 come in and say, the king wishes to speak to us. Character 2 puts down the brush, and as character 2 walks on by character 1, character 2 says, wasn't your hair shorter yesterday? And then character 2 says, never mind that, the king awaits.
Yeah.
So what you did was you just showed in those few sentences, you said what has to happen. The king wants to meet with the characters. You've shown that character 1 notices character 2's hair growth, and 3, you've created a dismissiveness in character 2, which could be suspicion or whatever.
In other words, the player is now curious as to why the hair is longer.
Exactly. There's your reason. So that's where you any reading optimization techniques, any way to revise your work, as we've gone over in other creator classrooms, podcasts, etc. All of that is good for doing this, for optimizing your cutscene.
Yeah. Okay,
and then next, you want to learn about the cinematic process, because your cutscene is a piece of cinema. It is a cinematic.
And we've said this before, that having some idea, some level of learning of cinematography is highly useful and recommended, I think, for game devs.
It is. We've mentioned it on our cinematography podcast. We've mentioned it a number of times, both here in the Game Maker Forum and in our other properties, like the Creator Classroom, that if you're going to be a game developer, you also have to have a knowledge of things such as cinematography, color theory, writing, revising, all that. You have to know that in order to have the presentation there. So when you're developing your cutscene, what you don't want to do is have a lifelessness where characters just move about and talk and talk and talk. And all that happens is they're looking at each other. Would you mind if I took a few minutes? I know I've been talking a lot tonight, but would you mind if I actually go through kind of a thought experiment I went with another person when they asked about a cutscene in RPG Maker? I'm not going to go deep into the person itself, or for instance, I'm just going to go into the theory behind it.
I like that idea. I think that it will clarify things a lot for our fellow forum people. Okay, cool.
So I once had someone approach me and talk to me about, hey, they had this cutscene for this RPG Maker game that took place in a command tent in a military style setting. And they had a number of actors. We'll say there were 10 actors. And what they didn't want to do was have the cutscene just be one person talking and all the sprites looking at that person. So I walked them through this, and I think this right here will help you guys when you're making a cutscene, regardless of the engine. What I told them was this: although in real life, when someone is talking and people are paying attention, games don't have to follow real life, because you need to have life in your game. And this is especially for a 2D game where you don't have things like wind blowing and stuff like that. So what I told him to do was, when the first characters start having their conversation, when people are talking and disseminating whatever information is necessary, have some of the characters in the background doing things related to what's going to happen next. So for example, if three scouts are coming in and talking to different officers and different infantrymen, etc., and the scouts are giving their report, have the intelligence officer gathering stuff from this table over here with maybe an assistant, because the next piece is going to be the intelligence officer disseminating that information for the general. Then, while the intelligence officer is talking, you could have, for example, the general's assistant go over to another table which has paperwork, and you, the developer, know that paperwork contains lists of troops they can send. So then when the intelligence report is over, the colonel goes over to the general, hands it to him, and then the general talks to give the order, and everyone pays attention because it's the general.
Yes.
So this little thought experiment that I did with this person showed them that when you're developing a cutscene, especially if it has a lot of actors in it, have background action that foreshadows the next sequence in the cutscene. It's a really good way to do it.
You guys, I cannot emphasize enough what we call stage business. And that sort of thing, stage business, is basically things happening around in the background to the side of the main focus of attention, whether it's a character talking or a process happening, like an engine running and going faster and faster.
Yeah.
There should, the things happening elsewhere on your stage give it a life and a realism that is so important for the user experience. So yeah, we talk about stage business, and you should have stage business in your cutscenes.
If you have never taken a theater class, and you cannot take a theater class, like at a local theater or whatnot, I highly recommend you pick up a book or read PDFs or something about theater itself. The best actors are the ones who have been classically trained or who have been in the theater. And when you work in the theater and you see what it is to tell a good story while you're looking at the entirety of a stage, including stage business, a lot of this starts to click into place when you're using things like filmography or game design.
Right. And it's great. I also want to point out that your selection of music for cutscene is pretty critical.
Yeah, it is pretty critical. It is. It really is. Sound effects too. If you have in that military tent, you need to have either troops marching in the background, coming and going, so attenuating in and out, or if the battle's really close, you need to have distant gunfire slowly getting closer. You need to have music and you need to have sound, because all is so important. And it all is. It all is.
All these different elements come together to create a successful cutscene for your game.
Absolutely. And yes, so Kuda Dude, I don't remember which Metal Gear it is either, but yes, they do have cinematographers. In fact, nowadays, not just Metal Gear, but nowadays, most AAA games that have cinematics are going to have a cinematographer. They're usually called the creative director, I believe, or the art director, or something like that. We actually mentioned that in our podcast, and I don't remember.
It's the creative director.
Okay. But they are...
Because the art director and everybody else, they work under them.
Right. But it is effectively the same thing as a director of photography, which is a cinematographer. And it is massively important because it doesn't just do the cutscenes, it does every aspect of gameplay presentation. So honestly, if you're looking at wanting to join a AAA studio and you love film, you have every reason to get a film degree. If you get a film degree and work as a DP, director of photography, you could join a studio as its creative director for a AAA title. I mean,
boy, wouldn't you love to do that?
Dude, if I was going to join a AAA studio, I would want to be either the head writer or the creative director, the CD.
Yeah.
Because I would love to be a part of that part of the game development.
It's pretty exciting.
It really honestly is.
It's exciting stuff.
It really honestly is. And AOD is just reinforcing what we're talking about with music. It's a big deal. Get frustrated. Yeah, if you don't get the right sounds for the right scene, your scene's going to fall through. So all of that stuff
all of those elements
is necessary in order to have a A+ game. So, if you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.